Board Clerk, Budget Board Candidate Presentation Meeting, May 26th, 2020. I'd like to call the meeting to order at this time and read the notice of election and budget vote. Legal notice, annual meeting and election notice, Parishville Hopkinton Central School District, towns of Parishville, Hopkinton, Stockholm, and Colton, County of St. Lawrence. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing of the qualified voters of the Parishville Hopkinton Central School District, St. Lawrence County, Parishville, New York, is scheduled for live stream May 26, 2020 at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time for the presentation of the budget and board candidates. Please visit www.phcsd.org for information on assessing the hearing. Availability for review of the budget and tax exemption report will be announced on the district website. Take further notice that the annual meeting and election of the members of the Board of Education of the district and the vote for the appropriation of the necessary funds to meet the estimated expenditures for the 2020-2021 academic year and authorizing the levy of taxes and the vote for any other propositions will be held on Tuesday, June 9th, 2020 via absentee ballot only. Propositions on this ballot to include: 1, to adopt the annual budget of the school district for the fiscal year 2020-2021 and to authorize the requisite portion thereof to be raised by taxation and the taxable property of the district. 2, to elect 2 members to the Board of Education for terms commencing on the date immediately following the vote and expiring on June 30th, 2025 to fulfill the terms of Barbara Risa Remington and Willard Witherall. 3, to authorize the school district to purchase 1 new 60-passenger with wheelchair lift school bus and 1 new 65-passenger school bus at an estimate maximum cost of $130,500 and $119,500 respectively, all at an estimated maximum aggregate cost of $250,000 for the 2020-2021 school year, and expend therefore a gross sum not to exceed $250,000, and to further authorize the Board of Education to issue serial bonds and notes in anticipation therefore pursuant to the provisions of the local finance law and education law of the state of New York in the amount of $250,000 or so much thereof as may be necessary, and to levy a tax in such amount authorized to be expended for such purposes upon the taxable property of the school district in order to raise the money required for such purposes, and such tax shall be levied in annual installments, which shall be of such amounts and levied in such years as may be determined by the Board of Education. 4, to address such other and further matters as may properly be addressed at such meeting. Take further notice that in accordance with Executive Order 202.26, at least 1 absentee ballot shall be provided per household for the 2020 annual meeting. If a household requires additional ballots, please contact the district clerk at 315-265-4642, extension 24402, or via email at slatimer@phcs.org. That's SLATIMER@phcsd.org. A list of persons to whom absentee ballots have been issued will be available for inspection in the district clerk's office during regular business hours during each of the 5 days prior to the election, except Sundays, and shall also be posted at the door of the polling places on June 9th, 2020. Absentee ballots must be received by the district clerk by 5 p.m. on June 9th, 2020. And further notice is hereby given that a copy of the statement of the amount of money which will be required to fund the school's district budget for 2020-2021, exclusive of public monies, and the tax exemption report may be obtained by any resident of the district beginning on a date to be determined via the district's website. And further notice is hereby given that petitions nominating candidates for the office of member of the Board of Education may be obtained from the district website under the District Board of Education Board Member Petition tab. Vacancies upon the Board of Education shall not be considered separate specific offices, and nominating petitions shall not describe any specific vacancy upon the Board of Education for which the candidate is nominated. The candidates receiving a plurality of the votes cast for the office shall be declared elected. Petitions shall be filed with the district clerk no later than May 11th, 2020. Pursuant to the New York State Governor's Executive Order 202.13, circulation, filing, and collection of any designating petitions or independent nominating petitions for any office that would otherwise be circulated or filed pursuant to the election law, education law, or any other consolidated law for any office commencing March 31st, 2020 are hereby postponed. And further, notice is hereby given that military voters who qualify to vote may apply for a military ballot. A military voter may designate a preference to receive a military voter registration, military ballot application, or military ballot by email, by mail, by facsimile transmission, or electronic mail in the request for such registration, ballot application, or ballot. If a military voter does not designate a preference, the appropriate school board of education shall transmit the military voter registration, military ballot application, and/or military ballot by mail. All absentee ballots and military ballots must be received in the clerk's office by 5 p.m. on the day of the election. And further, notice is hereby given that the qualified voters of the school district shall be entitled to vote at said annual vote and election. A qualified voter is one who is 1, a citizen of the United States of America, 2, 18 years of age or older, and 3, a resident within this school district for a period of 30 days preceding the annual vote and election. The school district may require all persons offering to vote at the budget vote and election to provide one form of proof of residency pursuant to the Education Law, Section 201-C. Such forms may include a driver's license, a non-driver identification card, a utility bill, or a voter registration card. Upon offer of proof of residency, the school district may also require all persons offering to vote to provide their signature, printed name, and address. By order of the Board of Education, Jeffrey Ett, School District Clerk, Parishville Hopkinton Central School. As clerk of the Board of Education of the Parishville Hopkinton Central School, I hereby appoint Timothy Zellweger as permanent chairperson for the meeting.
Thank you, Jeff. As permanent chairperson, I hereby appoint Brad Hazelton as chief election inspector, and Barbara McBurney, Stacy Richardson, Daniel Brown, Barbara Gallagher, and Cindy Myers as election tellers for the 2020-2021 budget vote and election of board members. I appoint William Collins and Stephanie Latimer as acting chairpersons in my absence. There are 2 vacancies on the Board of Education for the 5-year terms of Mrs. Barbara Risa Remington and Mr. Willard Witherall. Petitions for members of the Board of Education have been completed by Thomas Morrison, Janine Sullivan, and Jerry Lynn Wilson. Voting is at large for the 2 candidates receiving the most votes to be elected. At this point, William Collins, Superintendent of Schools, will air a presentation of the 2020-2021 and 2019-2020 annual report, Board of Candidates, and proposed budget for the 2020-2021 year.
Say that 10 times.
Welcome and good evening. I'm Bill Collins, the Superintendent of Schools for Parishville Hopkinton Central School District. Due to restrictions around COVID-19, this year's annual report and budget hearing presentation will not be held in person. I'm happy to report that based upon last year's grade 3 to 8 assessments, PHCS has recently been named a recognition school. Betty Rosa, Board of Regents Chancellor, had this to say about recognition schools. These are exemplary public schools that demonstrate that all students can achieve at high levels with the right supports and resources. PHCS students have up to 28 opportunities for dual college credit courses, where they can graduate high school having already earned some college credit. PHCS graduates exceed the state graduation rates. Last year, 95% of the students graduated and there were no dropouts. COVID-19 has moved all schools in New York to remote instruction. I am proud of how well our students and staff have made this transition. In addition, we are feeding over 200 students breakfast and lunch Monday through Friday, and supplementing this food with food and supplies from our backpack program for over 80 of these families. We have shifted back to semestering in the secondary school. This is a system that served PHCS well for many years and has more advantages than disadvantages. As soon as restrictions were lifted, the contractors returned and the construction projects resumed. We are back on track. The remote instruction of students by teachers means that construction workers have greater access to the building and can proceed much quicker. Their work includes asbestos abatement, new floors in the gymnasium, new locker rooms, new flooring in the corridors, new flooring in the auditorium, replacing lighting and sound systems in the auditorium, and a new playground, which was partially funded through school and community donations. The presentation will proceed as follows. With introductions, I'll introduce the business manager, the Board of Education members, and the candidates who are running for the open Board of Education seats. We'll have an overview. We'll look at balancing a budget, the 2020-2021 proposed budget increase, the CPI and tax cap calculation for the school, the local levy and expected increase in dollars. We'll compare the full value tax rate of PHCS with the other school districts in the county. We'll look at a voting history and then a summary of the proposed budget. As previously stated, I'm Bill Collins, the superintendent. Our business manager is Mike Robinson. Our board president is Tim Zellweger. Our board vice president is Amy Guiney. Our board clerk is Jeff Yett. The remaining board members in alphabetical order are Joe McGill, Ward Remington, Christina Snell, Janine Sullivan, and Mike Tremper. There are 3 Board of Education candidates for 2 seats. Alphabetically listed, Thomas Morrison, Janine Sullivan, and Jerry Lynn Wilson. Each candidate was asked to submit a statement. I will read each one of their statements. Thomas Morrison. I am originally from Lisbon and graduated from Lisbon Central School. Following my honorable discharge from the U.S. Army, I earned my BA and my MSED from SUNY Potsdam and worked for 4 years for the South Korean Ministry of Education. Since returning to the U.S., I have been employed as a full-time social studies teacher for Brazier Falls Central School District. During that time, I have been active in local and regional education committees and have served as union president, vice president, and negotiations chair. I am a member of the American Legion in Winthrop and a life member of the AMVETS in Parishville. I serve as the St. Lawrence County Director of the American Legion Riders, as well as the President of American Legion Riders Chapter at Post 925. My wife, Maria Conger Morrison, is a longtime resident of the district, and all 3 of my stepchildren are graduates of PHCS. I am proud of the education that Parishville Hopkinton Central School District offers and am impressed with the community role the school plays. I think our school district is facing some very difficult times, though, where many of the ways we do things will have to change. I believe my background and experience in education will help my community as we navigate the many changes that are going on today with school health, safety, and budget concerns. Janine Sullivan. My name is Janine Sullivan, and I have been filling in for the remainder of Willard Witherall's term on the Board of Education since December 2019. Currently, I teach kindergarten at Colton Pierpont Central School. I graduated from Parishville Hopkinton in 2000 and have 2 young children who not only attend, but are excited to come to school each day. I earned my master's in education in 2008 and have been teaching for the past 11 years. In my many years of experience, I have become familiar with the importance of a connected and competent Board of Education and how the presence of committed members of a board positively impacts a learning community. All my experience thus far has been from the perspective of an employee in a school community, and yet I have a passion for education and want to be part of a team making a difference in the lives of children, not only as an educator, but as a board member at Parishville Hopkinton Central School. As a parent, experienced educator, and community member, clearly I have a vested interest in the school and its success, which is why I chose to run for a seat on the board. I feel that I would be a positive addition to your school board. As a community member and taxpayer, I hold great interest in the budget and financial decisions. On the flip side, as a parent and educator, I am very aware of what the needs of a child in public school are and how to make thoughtful decisions to support my school's mission. School is not just an institution of learning. A school is a home, a reprieve, and a safe place. A school is a place where children need warmth, food, and love. Invested school communities know it isn't as simple as teaching the children and sending them home. It is a place where we encourage and challenge young minds while giving students the support they need to get through life's difficulties. A school community has a responsibility to foster learning and growth in every child, not just for the kids who can, but for the kids who can't yet. I am not naive about the limitations that can arise for schools with budget cuts, unfunded mandates, etc. I do believe, however, that hard work, collaboration, strong communication, open-mindedness, and a willingness to be creative and think outside the box can create a balance. A balance from a school board's perspective can greatly improve impact and inspire the community and staff in which they serve. What I bring as a candidate for the Board of Education is the willingness to be that positive member of a team, a positive, contributing member within a group who will strive to consider all of these aspects in order to create the balance that is necessary to do what is right for the school, the community, and most importantly, for the kids. Thank you for your consideration. Jerry Lynn Wilson. Hello, my name is Jerry Lynn Wilson, and I am currently running for a seat on the PHCS School Board. I am a 46-year-old and have lived in Parishville my entire life. I graduated from Parishville Hopkinton Central School in 1991 and from SUNY Canton College in 1993. In 1995, I married the love of my life, Ricky Wilson, and together we have 2 children. Most of my career has been working in schools. I have worked in the school system for over 17 years, and 7 of those was at PHCS. I am currently the president for the CSEA union where I work, and I am the treasurer of our local unit. I have been on many hiring committees and have also sat on negotiation teams and feel I have a lot of experience to bring to Parishville Hopkinton School. I love living in Parishville and know that this will always be my home. I am asking you for your support. If elected, I promise to commit myself to our school district. Once a Panther, always a Panther. We'll now move on to the budget portion of this presentation. There are 3 propositions to vote on. 1, the budget amount of $12,136,504 with a corresponding tax levy percentage increase of 3.63%. 2, approval to finance 2 buses, one with a wheelchair lift at a cost not to exceed $250,000. And 3, 2 seats on the Board of Education. The proposed budget is within the state's local levy limit, so a simple 50% affirmative vote is all that's needed to pass. The proposed budget contains no restrictions in student programming or staffing cuts. There are 2 ways to balance the budget. Decrease expenditures, normally this is done through reductions or cuts to staff and programs, or increase revenue. This comes from increases in state aid and local tax levy. The increase from this year's budget to the proposed budget for next year is 4.65%, or $539,813. 26% of this, or $142,815, would come from local taxes. The tax levy limit, or tax cap, is often misunderstood because several exemptions exist, allowing the tax levy to be more than 2%, or the current consumer price index, which this year is 1.81%. Capital expenditures that increase the value of the district's property, such as capital building projects or purchasing school buses, are not calculated into the tax cap because they increase the district's value. It is useful when developing a school budget to be sensitive about the amount of tax dollars it takes to equal 1% of the local tax levy and revenue. 1% of the proposed budget is $39,343. At 3.63%, that equals $142,815. So what does this mean for the average taxpayer? It is useful to know approximately how much of an impact that a school district's tax levy increase will have on taxes and what to expect when the school tax bills arrive in the fall. For the average owner of a $50,000 home, they would see an $11.46 increase in the year, or 22 cents a week. For the average homeowner of a $100,000 home, they would see a $40.12 increase in the year, or 77 cents a week. These calculations are performed using the Basic Star exemption. How does the total tax rate of PHCS compare to the 17 other school districts in the county? Well, if you look at this graph, you can see that we fall in the bottom third. There are 5 schools that have lower taxes. The majority have a higher tax rate, and taxpayers in our school district would pay $15.80 per thousand. This pie chart shows the revenue sources for the school. 1/3 come from the local tax levy, approximately 10% from fund balance, the majority from state aid. This year, schools find themselves in a position where the amount of state aid is uncertain. It's going to be allowed to be readjusted throughout the year. Schools use reserves and fund balances much like families use a savings account. The Board of Education Administration has been fiscally responsible to the public and taxpayers for many years and have maintained several reserve accounts and fund balances to keep the tax levy increases low while continuing to support outstanding academic core programming for our students. $75,000 will be used to replace the oldest or broken windows in the school. The school should recognize immediate cost savings with improved energy efficiency. The school is reimbursed over 80 cents on every dollar spent on capital outlay projects. It is a cost-effective way to address capital needs in between capital building projects and save the taxpayers money. The school is also reimbursed over 80 cents on every dollar spent on purchasing school buses. Due to this favorable state transportation aid and higher trade-in values for newer school buses, PHCS is moving toward a 5-year bus replacement plan that will actually save PHCS taxpayers more than holding on to older buses while providing newer and safer buses for the students. The school bus proposition is to finance up to 2 school buses. However, the hope is to have to only finance one and buy the other one outright and make another step toward the 5-year bus replacement plan. This slide shows the school budget voting history. In the last 3 years, voters have passed the school budget by an approximate 3-to-1 margin in favor. In summary, if there are no reductions in state aid, this budget has no cuts to programs or staffing, replaces 2 school buses, is within the local levy limit, which means it only takes a simple 50% majority to pass, and it makes taxpayers eligible to receive the New York State property tax rebate check. To be eligible to cast a vote, one must be a U.S. citizen, have reached 18 years of age, and have been a school district resident for 30 days preceding the vote. This year, by executive order, all voting will be cast by absentee ballot. Ballots can either be mailed with the postpaid return envelope provided or dropped in the ballot box located outside the school's main entrance. To be counted, all ballots must reach the school no later than 5 p.m. on Tuesday, June 9th, 2020. This concludes the presentation. It will be posted to the district's website for viewing through June 2nd. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call or email me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. At this point, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting till 5 p.m. on Tuesday, June 9th, 2020, at which time voting will be closed.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank everyone for attending, and the meeting is now officially adjourned until June 9th, 2020.